Haha, you're a cute one. Do you like squeaky toys?
Welcome back, everyone. Today in the review, we will be getting some backstory on my personal favorite team in the series. We will be introduced to a new companion, and we will be getting the appearance of a fan favorite team as well. I hope you all are ready, so let's get into it. We begin coming in on my glorious King Brago catching a meal by killing a huge crocodile. While him and Sherry eat, they wonder why they haven't been able to find their opponent in 3 days now, and Brago just tells her it's probably because they don't want to fight him. As they start searching again, we go into a flashback to Sherry trying to console her childhood friend Coco, and being angry at how others treat her since she saved her life in the past. Her butler then tells her that he got a letter from a friend at a university that she got accepted into, as well as getting a scholarship with it. Sherry, of course, being elated about the news, goes to tell Coco, but when she arrives at her town, the whole thing is burning down, with Coco enjoying it being destroyed. Sherry, of course, yells at her, wondering why she would do this, with her yelling back that now that she has power, no one will look down on her, and she will strike down those who do. She, of course, deduces that this is not something Coco would ever do, and accuses the child by her of doing something to her. He introduces himself as Zophis, and tells her that he manipulated her heart so she would give in to her hatred, and that he gave her a want to fight others and to destroy her surroundings. He then explains the battle to become king to her, and prepares to kill her when we cut back to the present, with them finally finding the team they were chasing. They begin their battle, but in the middle of it, Sherry starts to pass out from exhaustion, prompting another flashback to her childhood and her mother constantly abusing her by making her overexert herself through so many activities, not even caring if she is sleep deprived and hurt herself because of all of the work she is doing. And sadly, like some children in abusive families, Sherry decides to take her own life by drowning herself in a river. But Coco saw her attempt and dove in after her, getting her to safety, telling her that if she died just now, she would never get to see the happiness she would have in the future. Even if it seems her future is pitch black now, that there's always an exit into the daylight. And as long as she keeps walking forwards, she will find it. Remembering that she needs the strength to free Coco, she unleashes a spell that flattens the whole area, winning the battle. We get one last flashback to Zophis seemingly killing her, but we see Brago block the blast, and ask her to read his book, with him in the present caring for her while still complaining that she is a weak human. We come back to Kyo and Zatch finally getting back to Japan, with a stowaway that followed them. The horse Momoto followed them back, being happy seeing Zatch again, but just straight up chomps down on Kyo's arm.
Haha, you're a cute one. Do you like squeaky toys?
They go back to Kyo's house, but of course he does not want to keep this new character. But while looking through his bag, he sees that he is a Momoto with a spellbook, and then cuts the ropes the book was in, getting the horse very angry, with us seeing a flashback of his mother making the rope backpack for him. Kyo's friends then arrive, happy to see that he made it back safely, with Tia arriving as well. Eventually, the horse gets on Kyo's nerves enough to make him kick it out, with Zatch going after him even though he is another Momoto. Tia and him find the horse trying to have people read his book, indicating that he still doesn't have a bookmaster over a quarter way through the battle, with Tia relating to him since it took her months to find Megumi. Zatch even says when they first met him, he had tears in his eyes, looking glad he found him, so he knew him from the Momoto world, but of course he can't remember being friends with him. Kyo does lament, feeling bad for him, so tells Zatch to bring him back to the house and he can live there until he finds a bookmaster. And they also name him Umagon or Ponygon in the dub, but his real name is Schneider, so that's what I will be referring to him as. Kyo finally goes back to school but notices Suzume is acting strangely, so follows her. He sees that she's been helping a kid that is going through a rough time because his parents are separated, and he believes stacking up rocks will help his wish of them living like they used to come true. So that explains why she had all those bandages on her hands, ending the chapter with her telling Kyo that the boy's parents did get back together. We then skip a few days with Kyo walking around in town when a kid almost gets hit by a car, but a Mamoto saves him. With them quickly walking off, Kyo follows them, and they are just entertaining some kids in the park. The book holder notices him, but tells him to relax, because he doesn't really care about the battle to become king. He introduces himself as Apollo and his Mamoto as Rops. He was just traveling the world because he has to inherit a large company in the future, and just happened to cross Rops. And they have fought other teams, but never burned their books. He sees that they are nothing like some of the teams they have come across and tells Apollo him and Zatch's story. He says that he is glad that they don't have to fight, but asks him if he's really okay with not caring about the battle, and triggers something in Apollo, making him ask Kyo to fight, since he saw something in him that he himself is missing. Kyo quickly goes and gets Zatch and meets him at a quarry they agreed to have their fight. Once they get there, he tells Apollo that he doesn't want to fight if they don't have to, but Apollo just casts a spell at them, saying it would be bad if he burned their book, forcing them into a fight. Kyo then blasts one of the rocks he lifted up with a spell so the pieces would fall on him, but Apollo just simply dodges all of the falling stones, using one of them to throw at Kyo, knocking the book out of his hand with Rops right behind them, ready to burn it. He then tells them to come at him seriously, or he will burn their book for real next time. They begin to fight again, but to end it quickly, Kyo tries to cast Bow again, but fails, leaving Apollo disappointed. Zatch protects Kyo and asks Kyo to direct him on how they can win, snapping Kyo out of the daze he was in. Now Kyo, seriously fighting him, gets Apollo excited, except when they aim at Rops. But once he saw how determined Rops was to win, he finally came to the realization that he will make Rops the next king and cast their strongest spell. Kyo, seeing this, racks his brain on what to do, but comes to the conclusion he has to try to use Bow again. So he casts it, and both spells cancel each other out, with both Apollo and Kyo not being able to move, making the match a draw. With Apollo feeling pretty good, he went all out in a battle for once. Him and Kyo talk afterwards, with him explaining he felt a buildup of energy while they fought, with it all being released when he casted Bow. So Kyo figures out that Bow is a spell they can't just cast at the start of a battle. Apollo says that him and Rops will come to visit Kyo and Zatch later, but he wants to walk around a bit more. But once night falls, Rops wants to keep on traveling, so Apollo follows, sad that he won't get to see them again, for a while at least, but happy that Rops feels a new sense of joy. Chapter 54, we get a mirroring of Sherry and Brago with Zatch and Kyo, basically foreshadowing that they will be our dual protagonists for this saga of the story. Chapter 56 has a full-page spread of Schneider. Chapter 57 has Zatch in a samurai outfit riding Schneider. Volume 7 cover is of Zatch and Kyo with their spellbook copied everywhere and on Zatch's cloak. I honestly think this may be my least favorite cover since it's so simple and way too red. It would have been better to just have all the spellbooks be different colors referencing all of the teams they have met so far. We get a page of Danny and Mr. Goldo fishing. Chapter 58 has Suzume running on the beach. Chapter 59 has a detailed drawing of Zatch, and a small picture of Rops fishing with his spell, getting a fish that Zatch was already eating. Chapter 60 has a 4-panel picture of everyone before they started fighting. And Chapter 62 is just a full-page spread of Apollo and Rops' ultimate spell. And of course, I have to mention the double-page spread of Bao being summoned again. Alright, first thing, Suzume has a nice little story expanding her character a bit, having her help a child that was distressed about his parents splitting apart. Next, the team that Brago and Sherry fought were decent opponents, and they were another plant-based team, which being in the jungle buffed them even more. But I am sure they would have beaten them much easier if Sherry did not push herself as much as she did. Schneider had his true introduction here and is pretty comedic with how he looks and is friendly with everyone except Kyo. And I do have to say I can side with him on this one a little bit, since Kyo cut the backpack his mother made for his book and named him something so simple and stupid, and doesn't seem to care that he hates the name. Then not having a book owner yet is honestly really bad for him, and he is lucky he ran into a friend in Zatch and not another team trying to burn his book. But we will see more of him next review. Apollo and Rops are next, and we see they are pretty powerful characters. We only see 2 spells from them, but they are able to match our protagonists because of how versatile their spells are, with how agile they both are as well, dodging falling rocks and sneaking behind Zatch and Kyo without them noticing. Then we see they have been in 3 other fights that they seem to have beaten with low difficulty, with one of them being Rovnos. Overall, I like these guys, and they had a great introduction as another pair of rivals for our heroes. And then the main event of this video review, at least in my opinion, getting some great character development on Brago and Sherry. Sherry having a horrible childhood filled with physical and mental abuse from her mother, but then finding a light of hope in her friend Coco, that was stolen away by Zophis, who has some pretty evil and overpowered abilities, basically having mind/soul manipulation, making Coco completely obedient to him since he made her kill Sherry. If there was any shred of her in there, she would have refused. And of course it is no secret that he will be a major villain in the future. And a note I want to say here is that when I was a kid, I thought Zophis was a girl, kind of like how I thought Frieza from Dragon Ball Z was a girl when I was super young. But getting back to Sherry, we see why she pushes herself so much, because she wants to save her friend from a quite literal demon that is controlling her. Then with Brago, we get some really subtle insight into him. He still complains that he has to rely on a weak human to cast his spells, but he thinks she's not so bad since she can stay awake for 3 days straight, unlike other humans. And he was even worrying about her condition since she was up for all that time. Then we see in that flashback he saved her from getting killed, so I'm going to read into this a bit. He probably saw the huge fire happening and spied on Zophis until Sherry arrived, and he may have felt some empathy for her, even though he probably would not admit it. And or he saw that she was full of emotion and saw that she would have a vendetta against another strong Momoto like himself, so risked getting hurt to see if she could read his book. Either way, his plan worked, and they are an extremely powerful team so far, with us ending on him putting his jacket on her and carrying her off so she can finally rest for a while. Zatch didn't have much character moments in these chapters, just mainly his kindness helping him, in Schneider wanting to be his companion, and showing that he does trust Kyo to direct him, knowing that Kyo has more battle sense than he does. For Kyo, he had a decent amount of development, with him relenting on letting Schneider stay with them until he has a partner of his own, and by doing something like this, he all but guarantees that he will be an ally in the future, but I am sure Kyo isn't thinking about that. And then he got a wake-up call in fighting Apollo, since I will say, Apollo seems to be a better bookmaster than Kyo, with his main example of this being when he dodged all of those rocks, and instinctively knew Rashirudo was going to reflect their attack. I would say the main reason it was a tie was because of the lack of experience Apollo had in pushing himself, which we saw when he could barely control his final spell. and the fact that Rock seems to have a naturally weaker body than most other Momoto since he is so small. And those two things can be worked on through training, which I can imagine they will be doing in the future. And then of course seeing Brago and Sherry's progress, I'm not sure if they could win against them either, at least not yet. And then finally, through Apollo's observations, Kyo was able to better understand how Bao works. Overall, a great group of chapters. I do hope you all enjoyed. Make sure to like the video and subscribe, it really helps me out a lot. And go check out the playlist for the series and the specific character reviews I do for all of the teams. With all this done, I will see you guys later. Bye guys!